Hello, everybody.
Hello,
All
everyone.
right. Yes, this is our second ever locked in stream, and today we're going to be joined by Jeff Erickson and Rich Robinson, two top investors on LinkedIn. With me today, I have Jan Singh and Hunter Earls, and just to introduce you guys a little bit to Locked In. Locked In is a global community for high school builders and motivated students for them to meet each other. We want to form connections all around the world and provide new opportunities to students that might not have had them in the first place. So I'm ready to get ourselves introduced. What do you think, Jen? All
Oh,
right. I guess
yeah.
not.
Oh shoot. Did I just
You're good.
okay, gotcha. Wait, go on, Ben.
Let's switch the introductions.
Okay. Go for it. I just hopped out just now the internet.
My
But
name
Ben,
is
go ahead.
Ben Lee. I'm from Kentucky. I was born and raised in a low income family, and I've overcome a lot of struggles in my life. And I think my number one goal is to help the people around me not have to go through the same struggles. So when it comes to Kentucky Tutor, that's a way for me to help students who can't afford tutoring for the ACT or for the SAT, because nowadays tutoring runs up to thousands of dollars. But when it comes to my future, I see myself working in the oncology field so that other people's family members don't have to pass away from cancer. So I think I want to go out there and I want to do something positive for the world. And I think if everybody does the same, it'll be a different place in 20 years.
Okay, yeah, exactly, Ben. So I really agree on what you said there, and basically, oh wait, Rich. Okay, yeah, Rich. Great. We'll see you later. But yeah, this is Jan, and I'm based in Hong Kong. Currently, like in the Web3 crypto ecosystem, getting more and more into robotics, and yeah, right now in a few projects here and there. But today we're here like just to talk about more about Locked In. And Locked In is basically a community where like-minded high schoolers gather together and like create have we are just trying to get a meaningful experience and like connections between you guys and provide the top resources we get and give it to the people who deserves it, and like just we can boost your like yeah, we can just boost your development. And yeah, passing it to Hunter.
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I'm from Louisville. I'm a high school senior as well. I'm big in the AI space, programming. I've been actually programming since sixth grade, and now in the past few months, AI agents have been going crazy. Super, super deep in that field. Made some software projects, startups, the whole space. And as it says on the slide, I am Locked In's very own AI genius.
Let's go. Okay, so now let's just start with introducing our first guest, Jeff. So let me just get Jeff on the stage. Let's see. Uh, okay, Jeff, there you go.
All right, am I on stage?
Yep,
Hello. Yes,
Awesome.
you
Hey,
are.
guys.
there you go.
Awesome. Well, this is an honor. My name's Jeff Erickson. I've been a founder, an investor. I've worked in startups for the bulk of my career. And, and yeah, over the last several years, I've made over 40 angel investments. But I've also helped companies raise millions of dollars in capital for their startups. And so that's something that I have a passion for. I currently run an organization called Founders and Funders that brings founders and investors together. I know Hunter and Ben have both been to some of those events. In fact, that's where I met Hunter, which is crazy. But I love what you guys are doing. I'm excited to be here. So yeah, let's take it away.
All right.
Okay,
Well, I mean,
and
the reason we're all here today is to kind of talk about raising investment for young builders, starting young projects. But I think to get to that point, you need to have a project to begin with. So tell me about what you think in the young, teenage to early 20s, what they can do to build a project or start a company at such a young age and get themselves into the right rooms with the right people.
Okay, this is so cool because this is actually what I saw in Hunter, and as Hunter started, introducing me to a bunch of his friends, I met Ben and some of these other guys. What honestly stood out to me was was the thirst for knowledge. You guys are always learning, but more importantly, you're trying to solve problems. It's like, you know, it's this passion to, I want to solve this problem. And with what you guys, you know, have at your fingertips, you guys are always learning, and you're learning so fast that people can't keep up with it. And so, I mean, I look at Hunter, for example, and what he's doing in AI, building these agents and everything. That sets him apart in terms of, you know, I'm going to use these to do all of these, you know, these agents to do all of these different things. You can turn a business into that. When I was going to school, like, it was a pain to go get an LLC set up, or, you know, a C Corp. I mean, we had to do all the paperwork, walk down to the buildings and actually fill out paperwork and hand do everything. Now, I mean, if you wanted to start a company, you could just, you know, go online, and tomorrow you can have your company up and running, get an EIN number, and all of a sudden you've got a legit business, and you just need to start, you know, making money. So that's part of what I would say is, as you're looking at building something, especially in your teenage years, look for problems that you can solve and get passionate about a problem, and then go solve it. It's very similar. I mean, Ben is doing the tutor thing. What is it? Kentucky Tutor?
Yeah. Like I said, I come from a low income family, and when I was studying for the ACT SAT, I couldn't afford tutoring. It's just too expensive these days. So I had to do everything on my own. But when I started Kentucky Tutor, I thought about that. And so, of course, I need to make money, but I don't charge for tutoring to people who can't afford it. Everybody gets tutoring, the people that can afford it or the people that can't afford it. If you want tutoring, I will offer it to you. And I think that's one of the problems that I can solve just with my capabilities and what I do. And so I completely agree with your idea on find a problem and solve it. And I'd love to see more of that with Locked In, but with all the young people of our current generation.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, Jeff, the next question here we have for you is like, when a 16 years old walks into the room and meets you, what are some like specific behaviors or like some traits that immediately upgrades them from like a student to a founder, in your opinion?
Yeah, I love that question. So what is going to stand out is that you're showing up. Most 16-year-olds won't show up. When I went to Louisville and we had a Founders and Funders, a VC reverse pitch event, we had 6 different VCs come and pitch to a bunch of founders. This redheaded kid comes into the room in a suit and tie, and you know, he's 16. There's nobody even close to that. The next youngest was probably like 25 or something, right? So he immediately stood out. He goes up to the front row and sits down and starts taking notes about, you know, every VC and what they're presenting. It's like, it stands out like a sore thumb. It's like, okay, who is this kid? Everybody wanted to know, who is this kid? What's he doing here? And then he waited around and talked to me, and that's how we got connected. What stands out is that you show up. The advantage that you have when you're still in high school is that you are going to stand out. Not everybody's showing up to stuff like that. Most kids aren't super interested in it, right? You show up to stuff, you're going to stand out, take advantage of that, and then show your eagerness to learn. Because most people, especially when you get my age, and we'll talk to Rich as well here in a minute, but you want to see success from kids like your age, and so if there's something that we can do to be helpful, we'll go out of our way to do it. And I think that Hunter saw that. And anyways, I hope that answers your question. It's like, just show up.
Definitely. Gotcha.
100%.
So make sure, if you're like doing anything, just go out there and then like get yourself exposed to more like in these scenarios, and eventually focus and like just show that you're eager to like learn. And I think that's a really important trait, especially when you're young.
Eager to learn. And honestly, I mean, if you go in asking questions, that's your that is your competitive advantage. You're going to stand out from all the other founders that want to meet, whether it's an investor or meeting other founders that are, when they see that you're in high school and you're there asking questions, wanting to learn, the attention's going to move to you. Take advantage of that and get curious. I'll give you an example. So my son, when he was just out of high school and kind of going into his first job and stuff, he made it one of his passions to just learn from other people. So he would like email the CEOs of different companies and go, "Hey, can I interview you for 15 minutes?" And do you know how many CEOs he got to interview? And he made these connections, and all of a sudden they want to help him out. And they're like, "Man, this kid's like asking for advice." Stuff like that. You guys can play that to your advantage. And I love to see that.
Yeah. And actually, when you said asking questions, I thought that was really interesting, right? And you're like, hey, just go and be eager to learn and ask questions. Just about a month ago, I was at another event and I met a leadership coach, and he gave me sort of like an audit of what he thought from just listening to me. And he's like, look, you can try and give this whole resume of like, hey, I did all of this. This is why you should listen to me. But he's like, I can tell how smart you are or how capable you are by the questions you ask and your eagerness to learn, right? He's like, you can tell me how much you work on helicopters, but when you're able to ask the most technical question on like, that rotor shouldn't work like that, should it, right? He's like, wow, that, shows such a deeper level of understanding. So like going into the events and being like, oh, well, why do you only take, $250,000 to $500,000 checks is, something like super, super specific, eagerness to learn, and just super, super, something I've picked up at least as super important.
Don't be afraid to ask the questions. I think, Hunter, you're spot on. It's like, ask questions and you're going to make connections.
Yeah. And then I guess, so the next question we were going to ask is, if you were to take away the deck and the story, like what raw founder traits are completely non-negotiable for you, right? So just like, what does a founder have to have, regardless of the company, regardless of the pitch?
I mean, the one word, I mean, it's probably cliche, but I mean, grit. It's when you're a founder, you're going to run into challenges. I mean, it's just a given, right? And I think I would tie that back into the passion for the problem. So I think if you just come up with a problem to solve and it's kind of like, this is a problem, I'm going to go figure out a way to solve it. And then you come up with something you think is really cool. As soon as you find out that people don't like it, you might give up if you're not super passionate about the problem, right? If you're passionate about solving the problem, you don't care as much about the solution as you do the problem. And so you're going to pivot. And most entrepreneurs, I mean, probably every entrepreneur, you're going to have to pivot because you're always learning and you're taking stuff in. So it's that willingness to learn, no ego if you're wrong, but the willingness to, pivot or know when to pivot and say, okay, I've got enough information to where, hey, my solution might have to change, but this is what we're going to have to do to solve the problem. So a passion for the problem and solving it that's not tied to the solution that you might originally come up to. It's like, we're going to do whatever it takes to solve this problem.
And then actually, to jump in on that a little bit, when you say grit, I thought it's really interesting because being high schoolers, right? I feel like there's an understanding of like, hey, look, you're still just a kid. And then grit sort of saying a little bit of the opposite, right? And maybe like you're just a kid, like, hey, go out and have fun. But the grit piece is like, oh, well, actually stay up that extra hour. Maybe like, put in the work, or just keep moving forward, right?
Yeah, you can totally tell. Sorry. Yeah, you can tell on grit, and Ben, I'll let you go here, but yeah, go for it.
To build up on that, a lot of people, or I don't want to say a lot of people, but I see this all the time on LinkedIn where we're avoiding like mistakes or we're avoiding challenge, when really the challenge is the way to learn. You go through the struggle, you go through the pain, but then you realize, I never want to be in that situation again. How can I prevent that? So whether it's, failing again and again and again and again, eventually you'll just stop failing because you'll learn the skills that you need to not put yourself in those same situations. And that's really what grit comes down to. It's not letting yourself get knocked down without getting back up. You can get knocked down 50 times, but if you're going to continue getting yourself back up, then you'll be successful, and no matter what the endeavor you're singling yourself out to.
Ben, I love that. And I'm going to add to that it's not just, it's not just failing and getting back up, but it's learning and almost looking at it as not failing, not being afraid to fail, because you're not really failing, you're learning. So, you hear it all the time, like, when the light bulb was there. I mean, it was like you failed, 10,000 times, but then it worked, right? It wasn't that he failed, he learned. You learn every single time. And it's just this Bayesian way of learning that you do something, you get feedback, and then you put that feedback into action, you do something else. And you just keep learning that way. The faster you can get that wheel going to where you build, measure, learn, that is how you're going to make progress. And again, that's something I think you look for in really special founders.
100%. Thank you. We are going to get on to Rich Robinson for the next couple of minutes. We will have you back on here in about 15 minutes to do some questions from everybody. But thank you so much for your time. We can't wait to talk to you in 10 minutes.
Awesome.
Okay.
Sounds good.
See you, Jeff. Okay.
Hey, Rich.
Hey, Rich.
What's up? Hello, everybody. Greetings from Singapore. I'm in the lobby of the Shangri-La Hotel, which you think for the cost of staying here, the Wi-Fi would be stable, and it's Singapore, but it isn't. So bear with me. I might go in and out a little bit. As we say back in my home state, home city of Boston, it's wicked pissa to be here with you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having great. Thanks for joining this panel, Rich. And yeah, feel free to give a quick introduction of yourself, as your background is again same as Jeff, super cool, and you guys have a lot of stuff to share.
Yeah, I enjoyed meeting Jeff and hearing his sage comments. We are both covered in scabs and calluses and scar tissue, like armor, from all of our trials, tribulations, and triumphs. So it's fun to help lead other people into battle covered in that armor. So yeah, Bostonian, USC Trojan, 5 years in Europe, 25 years in the gladiatorial arena that is China as an entrepreneur, investor, advisor. I'm a professor of entrepreneurship, whatever that means. And the last 6 years, I've been living in the island of the gods, Bali, Indonesia, and traveling around the world, doing a lot of stuff in blockchain and AI and robotics. And that's how I met Jan over in Shenzhen, which, if you've never been to the mainland of China, more robots than the rest of the world combined. I'm writing my first book. It's called At the Speed of China, like at the speed of light, about how quickly things happen on a macro and micro level in China. And it's really important to kind of go and check it out and live it and breathe it. And yeah, I love the art of the start. And I've been living in this startup society in Malaysia. That's why I'm in Singapore. It's called the Network School. Go to ns.com. There's a guy named Balaji Srinivasan. Do a search for NAS, N-A-S, NAS House. And NAS did a little Instagram clip of his trip to the Network School. And it's a very fun frontier place for builders around the world. And my family and I absolutely love it. And yeah, I'm happy to poison young minds and answer whatever question you guys have.
Thanks.
Let's let it rip.
Thanks, Rich, for the introduction. And honestly, one of the coolest person I've met, as after watching so many presentations of different panelists and the consensus or anywhere, your energy and all that, that I think is what Jeff mentioned, the grit is so cool and like
Yeah, I think part of
yeah.
grit is energy, but I think also energy is like authenticity. Like I, you know, I I only lament sometimes young people maybe are a little cynical or a little bit maybe too cool for school, and like it's an amazing time to be alive. It is preposterously incredible to even be in the game right now. If you think about 250,000 years as Homo sapiens, 13,000, only like 4% of that agriculture, 5,000 years, 2% in society, 600 years scientific revolution, 300 years industrial revolution, 80 years of internet, and now, as of now, like this year, 2026, we are now in the singularity. We have begun the singularity, and it's absolutely insane the exponential curve that we are on, and the opportunities and the adventures are boundless.
Definitely. And yeah, I think it's definitely one of with robotics and all that coming up. We'll definitely get into that later. But yeah, Rich, first question for you today is like how community and personal IPS become like an increasingly important topic nowadays with a lot of the like people believe we're entering like not only an attention economy but more of like a reputational or like even a trust economy instead of
Yeah.
like the previous ones. And would love to know what's your take on how should a young founder think about community building as a competitive advantage rather than just a simple marketing job.
Yeah, it's not even so much a competitive advantage as it's become a necessity. So, two things. One is, yes, I am deep into AI and robotics, and there is an inexorable rise of robotics that is not going to not happen. The food coloring is in the swimming pool. And just bear with me while I set that stage. By 2030, there's going to be tens, hundreds of millions of humanoids among us. By 2035, billions. By 2040, more humanoids than humans. We are, buckle up, we're in for a seismic societal shift. And it is going to happen in such a huge way. And I think between here and there's going to be a lot of unemployment and underemployment and people reskilling and upskilling and having to change things. And it's going to be a rocky road. On the other side of that, I believe that we're going into an age of abundance, and it is going to be very important to embrace your authentic human side. We're going to be doing a lot more stuff in real life. We're going to be a lot more entrepreneurial and independent. People will be doing a lot of project-based stuff. So that is where the puck is going. And it's not risky to be an entrepreneur. It's risky to try to get a job and hold on to it, because you are going to be like the opening scene of The Matrix, like, oh, my men are upstairs. And Trinity is like, your men are already dead. Like so many people are being decimated in Silicon Valley, all the people that are coders, like it's crazy.
Mhm.
So you need to be entrepreneurial and independent, which means, therefore, you need to have your own distribution. You need to have your own following. You need to be able to eliminate all gatekeepers. And that means you also, we need to be able to communicate authentically as well, too, to become more humanistic and more authentic and connected. In January, I was at the Billion Followers Summit in UAE, United Arab Emirates in Dubai. I work with Simon Squibb. Maybe you guys have come across him. He goes up to people and goes, hey, what's your dream? And he gives them, money to help realize their dreams, help to start. And I'm starting a venture capital firm with him. It's called Dream Tree Ventures. Our first investment is in Lovable, the vibe coding platform. And the reason I'm saying this is because VC has fundamentally changed. Oh, I need $3 million. All right, tell me, why do you need $3 million? Well, I got 2 devs now, and I need to grow it to 16 to 20 devs, and then I need, a product guy, and I need a project management, and I need a designer, and then I need to go to market. And it's like, actually, you know what you need? You have 2 devs. You probably need to go to maybe 3, or maybe you actually have 1 person who's going to vibe code everything else out. And then go to market. You need to work with people who already have influence and reach. So why don't you let us invest a little bit, and instead of giving up I don't know, 20% of the company for $3 million. You give up, 10% of the company for $1 million, but then you have people helping you to do vibe coding and to do distribution. So things are changing absolutely dramatically. Or maybe you don't even need any funding at all. There might be somebody on this call who's going to build a $1 billion company by themselves. And I think that's the one thing everybody here should be doing. Everybody here should be sending out legions of agents into the clouds and the ether, marching out, doing battle for them. I think that's the number one thing you can do. We've been in the age of generative AI where we generate prompts, generate answers. Now we're firmly in the age of agentic AI. And if you don't actually run agents or have agents running agents, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing the multiverse a disservice. And then we're going to go from generative to agentic to embodied AI. That's already happening in China. You can feel it as part of the society. China's going to get old before it gets rich. So what it's going to do, it's going to disrupt itself and become automated before it gets old. And that is going to spread around the world. It's just going to happen. You need to be able to leverage those virtual agents and also physical agents to do your bidding and for fun and profit.
Definitely, Rich.
I would say I have a call with someone almost every single day in our age group who tells me, I mean, right now it's a situation where our generation is excited for AI, but they're worried. They're like, I don't know how I'm going to get a job, or I don't know where my field's going to be in 10
You're not
years.
going to get a job. You're not.
Yeah.
Like eventually, right? Because you guys are young enough that by the time you really get into the, like, let's call it 9 years from now, if you're 16, because you got maybe a job in your early 20s. Like but that's okay. It's okay because think about this: there were no real jobs. Like like the Industrial Revolution happened 300 years ago. Before that, what did people mostly do?
Exactly.
They farmed. They farmed. 90+% of all activity in the world is farming, and so jobs are a hallucination. Like 250,000 years of Homo sapiens. You take a baby from 250,000 years ago and you bring that baby to now, they grow up like we wouldn't know that they're not, right? That they're not, because they're Homo sapiens, right? 1% of 250,000 years is 2,500 years, and basically 0.1% is 250 years. So in the entire span of humanity, about 0.1% of the time, and I would even go so far, my grandparents were born in 1899 in Ireland, and the world was 85% in agriculture. So it's something more like 0.04% of all human history there were jobs, and we're going to go back to being, we were always independent before. Hey, are you going to come hunting today? You're going to go foraging? No, I'm just going to hang out on my haunches and just hang out with the kids, take a nap, right? And like that's what we did. Like people were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? We're going to go back to what we already did. And we're going to create and collaborate and connect more and more and more. So there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear. There's only opportunity to embrace.
And what I've been telling people really is that the best way to be secure with yourself is just to find a way to make yourself as human as possible. So stop worrying about just learning how to get a job. Learn how to communicate and make connections with people. Be as human, as emotional, as communicative as you possibly can be, and you'll be fine through like
you're doing right now. So have you guys talked about Naval Ravikant on here before?
We have not.
At Naval, it's like Naval, Naval. And he has a tweet pinned to the top, and it's like how to be rich. And he's the founder of AngelList, and he's like, listen, it used to be labor and capital. You get money or you get people, and that's how you got rich before. You sort of dominated or collected capital and labor. Now it's about code and media. And the crazy thing is, Elon Musk or Bezos or whoever, Jack Ma in China, they don't have better code or better media than you. They kind of use the same software, use the same distribution channels. It is more egalitarian, more accessible than ever. So what you guys are doing right now, bringing together old bastards like me and Jeff, who have been like covered in scabs and calluses, scar tissue, and get together and connect with us, and then spread that out, become thought leaders. That is exactly what you should be doing. Leveraging software and code to start to be better communicators, to be thought leaders, to build your connections, to build your learnings. It's like a perfect example. You guys are modeling exactly what everybody else can do. You guys have time. You guys have energy. You guys have different insights. You guys have this fluid intelligence. And then you connect with older people who have crystallized intelligence, like Jeff and me, which means wisdom. And we have less energy and less time, but we have more connections. We have more insights, and we have more skills. And then we can all dance together. And like, that's a great place just to start. And then, just keep building. And success is, guaranteed. You just keep going. And every time you make a mistake, you just, the biggest problem at school is that, oh, you failed this test. And like, that's bullshit. Like, that's not how life works.
Yeah.
You made a mistake. You didn't make a mistake. You got feedback. And then you reincorporate that feedback, and then you do it again. And you can do it again. And you know what? You can keep going until you get it right. Think about if you can keep taking a test until you get it right. Then what would happen? You'd really learn. You would know all the material at the end of it. The one room schoolhouse paradigm is a farce. It's actually ridiculous, and it doesn't serve anybody these days, especially in the age of AI. So basically, like, what are you fearful of, that you're going to fail something? There's no failing. It's just feedback, and you just keep going.
Yes, sir. All right. The advice there is golden. Like you said, crystallized intelligence. I like that.
You know what? That's a true phenomenon. That's a true phenomenon. Up until the age of 35, you have fluid intelligence, and after that, it starts to slow down. You have a little bit less of a turbo engine, and then it starts to crystallize and form patterns. And that's why there's a guy named Brooks. You do a search about that, fluid versus crystallized, and that's why you want to like really leverage what your skills are, and that's time, energy, fluid intelligence, optimism, fresh eyes, ambition, grit. Like those are all the advantages you guys have. I don't have that. I don't have fluid intelligence. These are just Jeff. We don't. It's just a physical phenomenon. We don't have much time. We don't have much energy. We have pattern recognition can be a boon, but it can also be a negative in that you're like, oh, that doesn't work. Right? Sequoia, the VC firm, doesn't say why. They say why now. And that's why you guys have a completely, the fresh eyes. And, if you go to the headquarters of Amazon, it's called day one. That's what Jeff Bezos calls it. He's like, think about it. It's like the first day. You can't think about it, day 22 or day 4,000, because then you start to get completely, just like barnacled, like at the bottom of a boat. And you calcified. You have to always think fresh, but it's really tough to do. But you guys can do that. So you guys actually have incredible advantages, especially with AI, because it's like it's tough for me to like. I have to like put extra energy into like, all right, here we go again. I got to learn something new. I love it, but it's certainly effortful. But for you guys, it can be much more like play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Actually,
yeah.
I really, just for a second on there, I really liked what you said about the fluid intelligence piece, because I'll think a lot of times about how the top chess players actually, as soon as they hit the age 35, 36, they just start performing like worse, in the sense that like the fluid intelligence, right, their mental cognition kicks down a level, in which case now everyone else is able to take over. I just think about this so much because it's like, to be 18 now and see like, okay, I have the next 17 years to like have this turbo engine in my brain until I hit, a psychological limit, or,
and it's not even so much a limit. It's like actually, like there's a huge advantage to having crystallized intelligence as long as you're able to do that gear shift. And that.
Oh.
Nope.
Well, we'll be right back. Here, we'll let them finish that thought, but can we go ahead and get it converted to get everybody in here for
sure.
minutes now? And then we'll get them up and we'll let them finish that since it's really bad. But we can get Jeff in here, and hey Jeff.
Okay, hey guys, Dude, that was awesome.
I know.
Rich is super cool, and I love that conversation about fluid intelligence. I can totally relate because I think that wisdom you gain over time, it it does crystallize and creates like pattern recognition and some things like that. But honestly, who do I have running Founders and Funders now? It's a 27-year-old that has got way more energy than I do, and he'll bounce stuff off me, and we'll brainstorm together. But he's like, 10 times quicker than I am, and we're moving. So it's pretty
Yes.
cool. You guys, I think that's what attracts me to hanging out with you guys is the energy, this fluid intelligence, as Rich called it. It's just fun to be around that energy you guys have.
Yeah, and I mean, so we've been talking about building, we've been talking about learning, we've been talking about getting yourself in the room, but now I guess it's finally time to talk about what people want to hear is money. So how can we transfer this fluid intelligence, this energy, this grit, everything that we have as being younger? How can we get the money, right?
Okay, so one thing, here's some of the disadvantages where we can talk a little bit about, and so you guys can kind of figure out, how to compensate for some of these things. Because one thing, you have to put yourself in the shoes of an investor, and for a 16-year-old, that can be hard to do, right? It's like you haven't made an investment. Before we jump into this, do you want to go back to have Rich finish up his thought?
Yeah, Rich.
No,
Let's do that. And we'll come back to this here.
I'm good. I'm good. Keep going. I apologize. That's
You're all good. All right.
As predicted, the Wi-Fi popped me out. Keep going.
All right. So we're
Nice.
talking about raising capital and some of the things these guys will run into. And what I was kind of explaining is that when it comes to raising capital, you have to put yourself in the shoes of an investor. As a 16-year-old, you probably haven't ever invested in a company, so it's hard to do that, right? But what you can do is you can learn that investors are in this to make more money, and they are evaluating risk and reward. So if I invest my money, I want a return on it, and if it's too risky, it's like I'm not super excited about it because there's a good chance I'm going to lose my investment, right? So as a founder, you have to take this. You have to take this approach that how do I de-risk the investment for an investor so they are confident in me and giving me money to do something that is going to be awesome. So how do you de-risk that in an investor's mind? That's where you guys might have some disadvantage to somebody that has more experience. So experience can be that challenge when it comes to raising capital. When a 16-year-old comes and says, "Hey, I'm going to raise $15 million," you might get some pushback. It's like, okay, how many times have you done this before? I don't know if I trust this or not. So how do you compensate for that? So there's a couple things that will de-risk something for an investor. First off, traction. If you're already making money, it's hard to argue with that. Even if you're 10 years old and your lemonade stand is bringing in $1 million a year, I mean, how do you argue with that? It's like, hey, I'm netting, $1 million a year, and my costs are, $100,000. I'm making $900,000 a year. Do you want to invest in my lemonade stand? It's like, yeah. I mean, that's pretty good. I don't care how old you are. You're doing something right. So performance and seeing that traction is going to de-risk it for an investor. The other thing is experience. If you look at who raises capital, it's a lot easier for an investor to part with their cash and give it to somebody that's done this before. And so as a 16-year-old, this might be your first go around, or maybe you started when you were 12 and you've had 2 failures and one that's starting to really take off, right? Now you've got some experience, but you're not going to have a ton of experience. You probably haven't sold 3 companies and for, hundreds of millions of dollars. those are the ones that investors are like, oh, if they did it once, there's it's probably safer to bet on that. So what do? You surround yourself with people that have done it before. And that's where I think you guys can kind of start this networking. And I love what you're doing. You're surrounding yourself with people like Rich. If you have somebody that you can bounce ideas off of, you've got that energy. And then if you can combine that with the wisdom of somebody, that has done it before, that's where I think it can really be powerful. And that's where you're going to start to see the de-risk, your ability to de-risk an investment for a potential investor. So I hope that makes sense.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I think part of it too, I mean, even if you don't have the people surrounding you, I think you can rephrase your situation, because you never want to walk into a room and say, I'm 16 years old, this is my first ever experience, and talk about it as if it's your first business. I mean, sure, it might be your first business, but tell them the experiences that you do have, what you have overcome, and who you are to de-risk your situation, not based on your experience in business, but in your experience in character. Show them that you can overcome challenge and be successful despite anything else, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And I think something else there, I mean, keep in mind that, especially at your early stage, the investors are betting on you as the founder, right? And that's why it is hard if you don't have a ton of experience. I mean, they're like, okay, well, do I have a pattern of success here? You can show that to some degree, right? It's like, okay, I've done this, I've done this, but it takes time, right? But if you can get the traction, like I said, that's where you can't argue with that. It's like, look, I'm solving this problem, and this is what people are willing to pay for it, and I'm already doing it. Now you can start to, get some attention.
Actually,
And,
so I have a
go for it, Spencer. Go
quick
first.
question to ask. So we're talking about traction in business. What would you say in the sense of having like personal brand versus traction in business, and like where would you weight that, right? So like if you're talking to a guy who sold his first company, or a guy who's going to make like a B2C product and has 10 million followers, right?
That's actually great thoughts. As an investor, again, it goes back to what are the chances I'm going to get a return on my money, and how big of a return, right? It depends on that founder. If you've got 10 million followers, and I think I could leverage that, and I'm seeing that you've kind of done that before, and maybe I have something, or can pair you up with the right product, or pair you up with whatever, that's going to give me a lot of confidence as an investor. It's like, okay, I see a pattern here that we can add this, and it's going to equal this. That becomes exciting. So I think you can totally leverage a personal brand that way, if there's a pattern that investors can kind of see that can lead to success. The experience side is a little bit different, because there you're looking for the pattern of, okay, this person saw this problem, they solved it, this is how they did it, and this is how they made money. Can they do that again, solving this other problem? And again, both of those are very valid points for an investor.
The reason I ask that is because I see a lot of the times, right, you need experience, and there's like so much that goes into making a company be really successful and get that traction in the first place. And maybe the barrier to entry is actually much lower to start something like your personal brand, your social media, and have that be the thing you're working to improve. It's like, hey, look, I can work this business on the side, but if I build up my distribution at the same time, build in public, whatever it is, maybe that's the thing people should be optimizing for. Because instead of hearing like, oh, I need experience, let me go build a company at 16, that's probably a little bit more intimidating than let me go make some Instagram posts and see if, I go somewhere with this at the same time.
Dude, I love the way you think, because yes, if you can build a distribution channel and leverage that, you've now got an asset that you can leverage. Investors will invest in that all day long, right? If they can see that there's a way to monetize what you built. But again, you're now showing that you built something. It's like, if you have 10 million followers and you can influence their purchasing decisions, or you can influence their actions or stuff like that, that becomes really valuable. And that's an asset that you can probably go raise money for.
Yeah. And I think also it's really interesting on the personal brand side. I mean, you have a business, you sell it, you move on. But with something like a personal brand, you really keep that for life, right? I feel like you never really lose 10 million followers overnight, right? You might lose your business because you get fired or something, right? But just seeing that is like a pretty solid safety net, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
personal
indeed. And
brand is super helpful. Go ahead, Rich.
I think, excellent point that you need to be able to have these transferable skills that you can take with you. And I think public speaking is probably one that is one of the most powerful. And you guys are getting into reps right now. I think to really deliberately practice that with Toastmasters or taking some sort of online course. I'm a professional public speaker, and I actually train people to do pitch and persuasion and presentations. And I just spent a week in Sydney, Australia, with a guy named Vin Jiang, VINH, GIANG, and Vin has this thing called Stage Academy, and he takes, it was 150 of us to a very, very detailed course on how to use your voice, how to use your body language, how to be a better storyteller, how to actively listen, and it's all super powerful because yes, you're going to have to be a lot more humanistic and a lot more authentic in the age of AI, but also you're always, always, always going to sell. You're selling everything in every aspect of your life as you become independent contributors. You go from being a cost, a line item on your parents to actually being independent. Then basically selling I had to sell my wife to marry me. I have to sell my kids to be able to, do their homework and apply to college. I have to sell people to join my company, to help us, to promote the company, to raise money, to be able to partner. Like you're constantly selling and persuading and influencing people. And the better you can get at that, the more it benefits you in every aspect of your life.
Yeah,
I'll
definitely,
just
Rich.
let me just double tap on that. One of the things Rich mentioned is the ability to sell and some of those soft skills. As a founder of a company, you have to know your customer, and I can't tell you how many founders I've come across where they won't go out and necessarily talk to the customers. They think that they can get it all from different sources, but to understand your customer becomes so valuable. And in order to do that, you have to go talk to them. So as a founder, one of the things I look for is, do they understand their customer? Have you talked to customers? Have you gone out and interviewed? And it doesn't have to be a formal interview, but it can be, being able to just connect with your customers and know what their needs are and get that feedback.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So there's a guy named Steve Blank, Blank, professor of entrepreneurship at Stanford University. I'm a professor of entrepreneurship at Peking University, and I use a lot of Steve's work. He has a book called Crossing the Chasm, and he talks about getting out of the building, not just being in a conference room or around your desk. You got to go out and talk to customers. His student is a guy named Eric Ries, Rief. I spent a little time with Eric, and he wrote the book Lean Startup, and that's the core thesis of his book that you have to check in. I mean, the thing with the startup is that nobody knows. Nobody knows. Like every play in football is supposed to be a touchdown. It's not. Every song is supposed to be a hit. It's not. Why were all the top 10 movies last year all sequels? Because everybody's afraid and they just want to just make another Marvel movie. Because making an original thing is tough. Making an original startup is even tougher. And nobody knows except, who knows? The user knows. The wrinkle is that the user doesn't know until you put it under their nose. And then once they actually use it, they start to break it or use it in ways. I'll give you a quick story. 2011, TechCrunch came to China. TechCrunch Disrupt. And one of the things that I've done, I was doing stand-up comedy before, and I love startups, so I've combined that together, and I bring stand-up comedy and that energy and entertainment to emceeing and speaking at events. So I was the MC of TechCrunch Disrupt. and it was fun. Steve Chen, the founder of YouTube, was there, and also one of the founders of Instagram, Kevin Systrom, was there. And this is before Instagram got acquired by Facebook,
Meta.
and they were
Yeah.
a small company. And Kevin told me a story. We did karaoke together, and he's like, "Yeah, we originally called the company Bourbon, BRBN, and it was a check-in. Like, hey, I'm here at the Shangri-La in Singapore, and I check in, right? And turns out that's just a feature. It's not a product, and it didn't really take off. And back then, camera phones really suck, so people weren't really taking pictures. So he's on vacation with his fiance, now wife, and they're walking on the beach in Mexico. And he's like, "I think I'm going to return capital to investors. We can't make this thing work." And she says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm distracted. I'm looking at this one guy. He takes professional photos, side loads them to his computer, touches them up, puts them back on his phone, then uploads them." He's like, "Yeah, there's two guys that do that, and I love following them too. They actually have an inordinate amount of followers." And she's like, "Well, why don't you make everybody a professional photographer?" And he's like, "Honey, that's silly. I can't do that." And then he wakes up in the middle of the night and he has a epiphany, and he codes filters and he uploads that to the site. So now people can use their crappy camera phones back then, but then put it through a filter, and he breaks it. He breaks the app, and the other founders, like, "What's going on?" "Oh, I uploaded this filters thing." And basically what was happening was people broke Bourbon, and they started side loading photos. It's like, that's not what it's used for. Yeah, that's exactly what it's used for. And then they get bought for 1.2 billion. And my buddy side messaged me, and he's like, "You need to quit this industry because that's so ridiculous. They have no revenue, and they got bought for 1.2 billion, and they have 15 people in the company." He's like, "I don't know, buddy." He's like, "I think you're smarter than staying in this stupid internet industry." And then, of course, now people think Instagram's worth $500 billion. But the point there is that, like, they listened to their user, and the user told them where to go. So it's always about the user. It's not about you as the founder. It's not about the market. Not about the investors. It's about what you make stuff people want. That's the very simple but not easy thing. Make stuff people want. Do you want this? I actually want it like this. Nope, can't do that. Oh, or can we? Right? Like, that's what you always have to do, is just listen to the user and make stuff they want.
And actually,
most startups fail because they can't.
I've noticed in a lot of the student circles, one of the common themes in the founder space is ed tech, right? Like, all the high schoolers are like, "Hey, look, I'm a high schooler. I need to take notes. Let me make a note-taking app." And it's like,
sure.
Yeah. And like, that works, but it's like sort of skipping the talking to user step and like market research, where that you spend all the time now building out an app, and it's like, okay, you're building out B2C because you're a consumer, right, or customer, and it's like, all right, now how do I sell? And it's like, wait, I don't have distribution, I don't have any competitive advantage here. And it may be like, at least before jumping in, take the step back and be like, let me go talk to some people, hear what they need, rather than, hey, I'm a student and I have a bad math grade, let me vibe code a math app,
And maybe it's yes and, in that it's the first bad pancake. I know this is my problem. I'm going to solve my problem. Oh, I did it. Oh, but it turns out I'm drowning in a red ocean of competition, and it doesn't really pop out the other side. But you know what? I've done it. I've actually gone through the full cycle of creating something. And I think fundamentally what you're doing is you're solving problems. This is what I think somebody should build. They should use AI agents to reward people to tell them their problems, like gather problems, like, basically like gathering, foraging for problems, and get people to bubble and upvote and, just understand a giant problem set. And then just, oh, interesting, I can create something for that. Because with agents now, you can solve 3 problems a day. You can do 3 startups a day, pretty much. Just launch something, just to have, 30 minutes later, here's my startup ready to go. That, like Jeff was talking about before, like when I was doing my first startup in 1997, we had to order servers and have them, wait for 2 months, and then have them arrive and then install them in the data center, and then you put sysadmin there. But you couldn't. Now you can, then like, oh, AWS and Google Cloud and Azure. Oh, now you can just easily throw stuff up there. And now it's like 30 minutes. I go out to lunch and I come back and I'm like, yep, it's fully, it's debugged and it's already, been tested. And here it is. Here's my little nugget to throw into the world. I'm like fundamentally, don't forget, you're solving problems. It's like situation, complication, resolution. Here's the market. Here's the problem. Okay, here's my solution. And then you just experiment with it and be like, is this solution working? If not, why not? And then, then you can tweak and then, work on distribution. There's so many ways to sort of hack that. But anyway, yeah, don't forget, you're solving a user's problem.
And yeah, Rich, just touching upon that, I think that's like a recently prediction market. That's like prediction market is a start, but like what I vision through this evolve would become like an information market and eventually like a big data thing. So with all the big data is coming in play, there will be like an algorithm being formed behind, and that's how like for example, right now there's surveillance pricing in US where there's like Walmart or something. They're not even showing you like the price tag. It's like you have to scan the thing before you get the price, and it would fluctuate. That's how like AI is like getting like those perfection and really increasing the efficiency and like for the firms. But like yeah, so yeah, that's what I think about like how you really need to like get into the consumers patterns and really tailor it to them. And one way of that would really be algorithm, and because algorithm is like a formula thing. And yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on this?
Yeah, go ahead, Rich.
Well, I mean, the fact is that's probably that surge pricing or that fluctuation pricing. That's solving a problem for the supply rather than demand, right? It's like another way for them to optimize their their profits. And consumers are probably like, oh, that's kind of a pain in the ass that I have to scan something. And, it's not really optimal for me, right? So maybe there's even an app to be able to like bypass that. But I mean, I think that's almost like enterprise software for corporations to like maximize their profits, right? Not necessarily so much user centricity. And like that's a challenge, right, for users, is that for large platforms, attract, and then extract. And so, once you actually have this sort of distribution and size, then you can extract more. And in some ways, you should be extracting as much as you can without, losing users, right? And I think, there's something there. But on the startup space, I mean, whatever you can do to sort of delight and help consumers, then that's where you should really be. You should be really thinking less about extraction and much more about attraction, and attracting through solving problems.
Yeah. And then actually a little bit different here. I just had a question for the both of you all. As we see, and we were talking actually 2026 being almost like this singularity year, right? Where everything in AI is progressing so fast. Being somebody who's in the software side, right? Working with these tools, Claude Code, Cursor, whatever it is, where do you all see software going in the future? Is it something that like, hey, learning, maybe not coding, but maybe like going on Claude Code and making these apps, softwares to solve problems? Is it worth it? Is software going to get democratized, right? Is that app you pay $100 a month for just one prompt away? We saw Duolingo stock plummet like 80% in the past month, right? As soon as people are like, I can just AI code this, right? Why do I need to pay for it?
It is interesting because AI is a massive disruptor, right? And so, I mean, you see headlines out there saying software is dead, and I don't know how much truth there is to that, but AI is definitely a disruptor, and I mean, if you start to look at it, I know we were talking before this that I was just talking to a founder that has an AI company, and their vision is, if you can get all of the data, and it becomes kind of a structured data play here. That if you can get the data, and then you can get the LLMs to be able to take that data and then make sense out of it. That becomes your moat or your advantage, right? But it's got to be normalized data in the data lake or whatever, and being able to now take that and then leverage it into things that people need. Again, there's a software component to that, but it is, I mean, you can start to do away with some of the old school software, because you can start to pull all the data and normalize it, and now you can do whatever you want with all the data and create your own CRM, create your own QuickBooks or whatever it is. I mean, there's a good argument that we're going to see some disruption in the software space.
Go back to Naval, How to Get Rich, code of media. And you look at media and be like, well, you know what, the Gutenberg printing press, that's been disrupted by a more automated printing press, or the automated printing press has been automated, or been disrupted by, home printers, and home printers have been disrupted by, digital ebooks or phones or whatever. It's like, you know what? It's not that media is dead, or that, oh, these cameras that used to be super clunky are now in your eye or in your glasses, or, in your pocket. There's an unlimited, absolutely infinite amount of demand for media and for code. Code is not dead. Media is not dead. The way that they're actually being manifested is just evolving super rapidly. So yeah, what you should be paying for is the $200 a month to have the latest version of Grok or Claude. Absolutely. Like, that is the number one investment. You think about that, that's like what, $6 a day to be able to have, because the latest version, people are like, AI hallucinates. Bullshit. It doesn't hallucinate anymore. Hallucination is gone. Like, you're working off of a script that's like, Will Smith eating spaghetti with like 6 fingers. That was 2 years ago. Now it's like almost full-length feature films that you can come out with. So you should be paying for, there's one thing you should be like working, like get a job, or make money online to be able to have $2,400 a year, be able to have the latest version, and then like create your face off. Because as long as there's problems, and as long as there's people around, they're going to want to be entertained, and it's going to want to have problems solved by code. And it's really much more about ideas, and it's much less about the ability to be able to actually do the coding yourself. Yeah. It's really much more about, and just like idea, but the idea should be based on problems. You should be eating bowls of glitter, is what I'm saying, right? Take the problems and then create them into elegant, delightful experiences. Every time you see a problem, it should be like you're in a video game and you're like, oh, good. There's a problem. What can I do to, throw some agents at that?
And I'm really glad you said that, because actually something I did just this past week
about farting rainbows of glitter. You're really glad I said that.
That as well. But I bought, I basically dumped my entire life savings into Claude, gave him everything I own, and then also just bought a Mac Mini, which is hanging over here. So I set it all up to where
1,000 times yes.
Yeah.
1,000 times yes.
I can I'm just in class now, and in one sentence I can deploy to Vercel, upload all the stuff to GitHub. On previous projects, make completely new repos in like a sentence, right?
That's
crazy.
Beautiful, right? And like, one of the things you should be doing is charging people to teach them how to do it. Give anything that's scalable, you give it away, and then you charge for the implementation or for coaching, right? All the expertise, you just give it away, because there's always you should definitely have a channel. You should be doing video and giving away all that information. documenting how, as a high school student, you're doing this, and then you charge. And like, yeah, I mean, you should have, I don't know, 1,000. You should be doing a free webinar every month, probably 2 or 3 different time zones, and you could probably do some paid ads, throw some agents at that. I bet you could have 10,000 people sign up for the webinar, and then you probably have about 3,000 people actually show up, and then you could probably convert 300 of them into paying you, at least, 200 to 500 bucks to be able to go through some sort of course with you. And then of those, you could probably convert 10 of them, 30 of them to be your, to have you do advisory stuff with them. And then you could be spitting off 100 grand a year, and you could throw that all back into paying for the most professional versions. You're paying for Claude and for Grok and for Cursor, like the most professional levels, and then you put the rest into paid ads while you build it up, and then you're just like this unstoppable behemoth. Everybody here should be reading Alex Hormozy as well too. Hormozy is he's the king of actually creating, and like I actually really question whether any venture capital is needed at all, like especially at your agent stage. You have time and energy. You have like unlimited fluid intelligence. You should be able to like just take everything. Like Mr. Beast, he just folds everything he has back into his channel, and then you figure out another way to monetize through what's your feastables. That's my that's my 2 cents 11, because what do I know? What does anybody know?
I love it. Rich, you're awesome. This is awesome. Been fun.
These guys are awesome. I've never done
These guys are amazing.
I've never done a high school. I was on the board of my kids' high school academy, like teaching, entrepreneurship. But like this is like awesome, possum. Who else do you guys want to have on here? That's what you have to do. You have to do the painful ask, awkward ask. Jeff, Rich, give us 2 people that we need to have on the podcast. On the show, and then you always do the ask. Do the ask, and then shut your mouth. Let the awkwardness in the air sit there until people are forced to say yes.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Rich. And
so
just
do the ask.
Yeah,
and then awkwardly let it sit there. I have a couple of ideas of people that you should have on the pod. And you should aim super high as well too. It's almost like Jeff was saying, like all those people, they reached out and people are like, you're in high school. That's a different thing. Like you're not like immature grammar school kids. You're not like college kids. Yeah, there's a halo. You have a high school halo, which is like, oh, high school. All right, good. Yeah, I'll give that my time. I remember being in high school.
Yep, I agree. I mean, you guys have the advantage that if Rich or I, tried to call up Mark Cuban or something, he probably wouldn't give us the time of the day. Maybe Rich.
That's right.
I don't know.
Nope.
If Hunter or Jen calls him up, he'll probably go, "What are you guys doing? This is really cool. Yeah, I'll totally come on."
Yeah, you have to look at Harry Stebbings, 20 minutes, 20 DC.
Oh, Harry's awesome.
Yeah, Harry's awesome. So 20 DC, he started in his mom's kitchen, and he's like the most successful VC in Europe, and probably I would go so far as to say the most successful guy leveraging media to invest in toads, and just relentless in his ability to reach out to people and just ask them for their time, and also
honestly,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, honestly, he'd be a great person to have on your show. If you guys reach out to Harry Stebbings, he would be amazing. He just interviewed the CEO of Carta, Henry Ward. Get Henry on here, or Peter Walker from Carta. I guarantee you guys will be able to do that.
Yeah, do that.
The founder of Level, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Here's some feedback. This is from a place of love. Don't be like, our first question is, like you guys aren't running a talk show. This is not like an interrogation. Just be like, hey guys, so tell me, and then just ask.
Yeah.
Don't start to like just turn it into a conversation and don't even like and our second question is just great. Jeff said like let me double tap on that. Like just make it as conversational and as high energy and entertaining as possible, and much less about like there's like
format.
there's any format. It's just like it's just like if you look at Joe Rogan would never say. And my next question is like he just has a conversation, and there's a reason why he's the number one podcast in the world, because that's it. And you look at the All In podcast, those guys, they have some, they kind of give each other a hard time. Like you should do that. You should be like, you should be, hey y'all, like you should make fun of Hunter, like with his like y'all, and then he should be like, oh
Hey.
my god, like like what do you like what's going on with those robots in Chinese New Year? Like you've been working on your nunchucks as well too, whatever, right? It doesn't have to be like it could be like friendly fun kind of like ribbing between friends. Like that's even better, right? It's like to make it as like warm and fun and friendly as possible, and just turn it into like a high energy kind of conversation.
Definitely.
And then the bigger the people you get in there, the more that they spread out to their network, and the more people, and then next thing you know, like Harry Stebbings posted just this morning, I read it. It took him 2 years to get to 1 million views, and he's like, every show gets 1.2 million views now. He's like, you just got to keep with it. It's all about consistency. And man, you guys got you guys should never stop this. Like I started this, like Mr. Beast never stopped. He started when he was 11, right? You guys should like keep this together. More and more can. You should be trying to do live shows. Here's an insight I have. I was at Consensus in Hong Kong, and my buddy brought his 2 daughters. They got dev passes because they have GitHubs, and they're 9 and 12, right? So you guys should be going to conferences and like setting up a Consensus. You saw me there. You should be doing like, like people want that extra energy. You guys curate and bring in, good speakers, and you do like you do kind of like a reverse panel where there's one person in the middle, and before you guys are all drilling into questions, but in like a fun way, right? You kind of make fun of like, hey, all right, boomer, or like, yeah, I mean, like you don't have enough, crystallized intelligence. Like make it a little bit, iconoclastic, and just like rib people, and I think there's really like a great, amazing energy, right? You guys have this like, when you're in high school, that's how like people talk to each other, and like you don't have to be disrespectful. You just have to be like, I think really have fun comes through. That's my 2 cents. But again, take everything I say and just discount it completely. I got a motor guy. I got to go on daddy duty right now. So all the best. And I'll be.
Yes. Genuine.
Sounds good.
Wait. Okay, you guys want to take a picture before we wrap it up for today?
You bet. Yep, go for it.
Okay.
Snap it.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Okay, perfect. Yeah,
Awesome.
been great having you
Taking a
guys.
picture?
And...
Instead of a screen cap.
What? Definitely. But it's a bit blurry on your
You're
side.
taking a picture instead of a screen cap. What are the boomer?
I know. In 2026,
Like I'm talking to my
man.
mom. This is
I have my
this is me
agent
talking to my
making the
mom.
screen recording.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Mom, I can see your forehead.
Yeah. Hello.
Oh, awesome. Well, hey, thanks, guys.
Hey, guys, all the
This
best.
is super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great talking with you all. Thank you for hopping on.
And yeah, we got some
Okay.
more questions, but from the viewers, but we'll like send it to you in your DMs later on. But have a great day,
All right.
guys.
Groucho Marx.
Okay,
You got to
sounds good.
Google Groucho Marx. Groucho Marx said, "I've had a wonderful time, but this wasn't it."
Oh.
Ah,
But it was. You guys are awesome. Great to meet you, Rich. Hunter, Jan, we'll talk to you
You
guys
too,
later.
my man.
Yeah,
Be
awesome.
continued.
Thank you guys.
All the best
Okay.
to you. Bye.
See ya.
Have a nice one. See you.
Yep.
Bye
Talk to you all
bye.
later. Bye.